Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another chapter of It's iBUG's Life, where every fourth Thursday we gather here together to discuss different things you can do in the home, repairs. Sometimes we prepare meals, and sometimes we discuss some things that you can do independently for those who are blind or visually impaired. Today is Thursday, October the 24th. I was struggling with that date. 2024. So, before we get started, everything, we're going to have some announcements about things that are going on with iBug. And so I'm going to turn it over to the iBug guy for those announcements. Michael.
All right. Thank you, George. Okay, yeah, we've got things coming up in the next week, so I'm going to really touch on. Starting tomorrow night, Friday, we've got our regular iBug 90th, the virtual movies. You can come in around 7:15 for the pre-movie social. We'll start the movie around 8 p.m. Central, and then immediately following the movie, we have discussion and trivia. And the movie for tomorrow night is The Sixth Sense, starring Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment and some others. So we'll come together and see if we get to see some dead people. Then Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central, we have our regular iBug Apple Workshop. And that's where we talk about all things in the Apple world. We usually have some news rumors from around the Appleverse and get in a couple of demos. I think we'll be looking at some book library type app, and then we'll have a demonstration of the Braille screen input with the new features from iOS 18. So please join us for that. Monday night, regular iBug Buzz, the open Q&A help session for people with questions, issues relating to iPhones, iPads, Apple Watches, Apple TVs, HomePod, anything iOS based. And actually, next week's kind of a slow week since that's our fifth week of the month. And we don't usually have much regular scheduled things in the fifth week, and so that'll be it for the rest of that week. So I will now hand it. You can find out more information about iBug on our website, ibugtoday.org. All the things I've talked about, get detailed schedules of upcoming events, training sessions, social events. Also, you can follow us on Facebook. We've got a group and also a regular Facebook page. Just do a search for iBug Today. Find us there. Instagram, you can also do a search for iBug Today on X. And guess what? Search for iBug Today. So we can always keep up with all the things going on in the iBug world. All right, now I'm going to hand it back over to George.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Looking forward to some of those exciting things. And I guess since there's nothing going on the fifth Thursday, you all can go out and trick-or-treating or hand out candy if that happens in your neighborhood. So what we would like to do is to find out who's all here. So everybody that is in the sound of my voice, you are now allowed to come off mute. And I would like you to say your name, the city and state and country that you're calling from. If you're not in the United States. I didn't write it down, so I forgot the actual icebreaker question I was going to have for it. So I don't know right now. So right now, let's just say, send me your name and city and state that you're calling from.
Gary Sowerman from the North Pole. No, from Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Joe Billard from Ontario, Canada.
Ontario, Canada.
Lynn Moore from Louisville, Kentucky.
Hey, welcome. Home of APH. Welcome, Julie.
Yeah.
HL from Chicago.
Welcome, Chicago.
Jody from New Hampshire.
Rosalie from New York.
Welcome. Anybody else?
Dan from California.
Who from California?
It's Dan.
Dan from California. And there was somebody else under Dan.
Jerry from Tulsa.
Jerry from Tulsa.
Janice from Maryland.
Maryland. Welcome. What we're doing right now, just if you join late, we're identifying ourselves, so come up through and say your name and the city and state that you are calling.
Amy from Iowa.
Iowa. Welcome, Iowa.
The Cornland.
Corn.
And pigs.
Bridget from Atlanta.
Welcome, ATL.
Yeah. It's Michael in
Anybody
Texas.
else? Michael from Texas.
Land of the Armadillo.
Anybody else that can get a chance to identify themselves or introduce themselves?
Did Pete introduce himself? He's out
That's
there
what I was
somewhere.
going to say. Where's Pete?
Yeah, he was here a minute ago.
Yeah, I think you
Okay.
He's here. Sorry.
There he is.
Yeah, I said hello, but I was muted apparently. Sorry. Hey, George.
Hello. Okay. Think about 30 more seconds. If anybody didn't get a chance to introduce themselves, say your name and city and state or country that you're calling from. Yeah, gotta say country because iBUG is now internationally known. Did I hear Jody?
Yep, I'm
Oh,
here.
yeah.
I don't know if you heard Bridget. Bridget was here too.
I think I did hear Bridget. I thought I did. Oh,
You did. Yeah, Bridget.
where you from, Bridget?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought I said, hey, ATL. Okay, I think that's it. And there'll be other opportunities in case you probably didn't get a chance to introduce yourself. We do it again. So, if you just to kind of reiterate the house rules, that if you have any kind of background noise, we ask that you go on mute. And if you have a question or a comment or a statement to contribute to the conversation, we ask that you say your name and wait to be recognized. Then we will definitely pass the mic on to you for you to address everybody. I'm going to apologize in advance to everybody. I may sound a little clogged up. Something's been lingering around me for the last week, and I'm doing my best to get rid of it, swallowing stuff and doing a lot of unclogging, even though we're going to be talking about clogged drains. So I'm kind of clogged up. No, I don't need a plunger to unclog me, but we're working on it. So I may sound a little nasal than I normally do. At least I do to myself. This month, we're going to be discussing. We haven't discussed this in a minute. It's been a while since we had talked about doing like anything dealing with clogged drains or how to unstop a drain or leaky faucets or any kind of plumbing. So get out your tool belts, ladies and gentlemen, as we dive into this. One thing as we get started, what I would like to recommend or at least to suggest is get yourself, if you don't have them already, some basic tools. And what I mean by basic tools, everybody should have some sort of toolkit or tool case. And basic tools are such things as screwdriver, pair of pliers, a wrench, a hammer, maybe some kind of even a portable screwdriver or drill, if somebody may use, where you can have like drill bits. And these for just basically doing like simple things you have to do. If you have to tighten up something, you have to loosen up something. It's always good to be able to go to your tool bag or the tool kit and grab whatever you need. Screwdrivers, you got different kinds. And hold on, I need to turn this TV out because it's distracting me a little bit. Should have done this earlier. You have a flathead and you have a Phillips. The difference between the two is a flathead is kind of like the end of it will be flat, to fit into like some particular bolts or screws that the groove is just like one line, one indentation that you stick the flathead into. And if you don't have the flathead screwdriver, sometimes we grab like a rounded butter knife, something that's not so pointed that it'll allow it to function as what a screwdriver would do, the flathead screwdriver would do. The other one is the Phillips screwdriver has like the four, is pointing at the end, very pointy, but it also has like little lines to fit inside of a screw. They have like four little indentions in it that would allow you to be able to, if you need to remove any type of screws or not, to make it a lot easier to do it. Wouldn't want to necessarily use a flathead into a screw that has the place to fill it, because you can strip it and then it'd be hard to remove something if you need to. And usually you're going to find these type of, since we're talking about plumbing, you're going to find these usually in faucets, or sometimes you may have to do it like on a doorknob or something like that. So that's why I just recommend have like some basic tools like that, because when it comes to sometimes dealing with pipes and plumbing and or whatever you may do, there may come a time that you will have to pull out some of these things. Now we're talking.
This is Annie. Another tool, needle nose plier.
Needle nose pliers, yes. You want to describe to everybody what the needle nose pliers are from a regular pair of pliers?
Yeah, I use it a lot to get my hair out of the kitchen, the bathroom sink. So it's very sharp, and it's about, a couple inches. Yeah, you know what it is, George. Can you?
Yes. Yeah, I know what it is. I'm just giving it time for you to talk. That's okay. No,
and I'm going to say also flashlight.
Flashlight. That's something that I really don't think about, since I don't normally use it because I don't save light. But I know a flashlight for those who have some working vision is definitely needed. Yeah, definitely want to have that in your toolkit as well. In case lights go out, or you need to look into small areas that are underneath the cabinet. You may need a flashlight.
This is Terry.
Go ahead, Terry.
Even if I don't need a flashlight, I have a couple here that are handy, and you check the batteries every so often, or if you have one that you can plug in and charge it and it'll hold its charge, because sometimes somebody might be over here helping me with something, and that person, didn't bring his or her toolkit, and so that sighted person could definitely use my flashlight. So even if I don't need it, somebody else might.
Absolutely. And you know what? When you mentioned flashlights, because I don't even know what mine is at. I know I got one around here somewhere, but I have not had an opportunity to use it to pull it out. But I know it's something I have somewhere around here. And they even have like the wind-up flashlights too that you can actually get that don't require batteries. Was that Terry who wanted the floor?
Janice,
go ahead.
Even though they come in different sizes, an Allen wrench is
Allen wrench? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Some things do require an Allen wrench. Allen wrench are the things that is not necessarily a Phillips or a flathead screwdriver, but some of those nuts and bolts, the indentation in them does require an Allen wrench, and an Allen wrench comes in different sizes. Real big or small. I think I forgot how many of them, but I just know, and I have a couple of them as well. But to backtrack, the needle nose pliers are the pliers that are very skinny. They do have a handle you can open up if you need to grip something, but they also the end of them are very pointy. Almost look like tweezers, but they're not tweezers. And sometimes it may require you to use some needle nose pliers, because regular pliers, the end of it may be a little thicker than what you would need. And like she indicated, she uses sometimes to unclog the hair from a particular drain. Okay. Now, while we're on tools, anybody can think of any other tool that you think that's good to have in your tool belt or your toolkit? Go ahead.
You were mentioning screwdrivers.
Uh-huh.
And I've got one that's got one piece, and it's got all the different heads, and they're detachable. That way you have everything in one. one place.
Okay, very good, very good.
This is Pete, George.
Go ahead, Pete. What you got?
Duct tape.
Duct tape.
Ooh, yes.
You know, there's a commercial that plays on the radio here. I think it was during the Astros games, you know, when they were in season, and there's a kid that comes in there. You can hear this faucet just leaking and dripping, and he says, "Dad, this pipe is still going to leak no matter how much duct tape we use." And it says, "Well, it's 45 yards per roll. We're going to use it all." You just unwrap it and just wrap it around there. It's real funny. But yeah, duct tape is something that's something good to keep handy.
Terry,
Go ahead.
a pipe wrench. And
Pipe wrench.
I'm thinking that because sometimes just there are bazillions of kinds of wrenches, but sometimes a regular standard wrench isn't gonna do the trick, or sometimes you need to use the regular wrench in conjunction with a pipe wrench.
Correct.
If you're talking about, repairing faucets. And so I figured, or different parts of the sink. So I figured you might be mentioning that. So that's why I'm thinking of the pipe.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. There is a big difference between a pipe wrench and a regular wrench. And then they got different size wrenches as well. Okay. So now today, what we're going to be covering, since we're talking about pipes and drains and unclogging, we're going to start off with the kitchen. We're going to make our way around to the bathroom and things in that area, and anything dealing with drains. In your kitchen, not only do you have the kitchen sink, you have such things as a garbage disposal. You also have your dishwasher. Now, I'm not going to talk much about the dishwasher because, believe it or not, and I'm knocking on some wood, I've never had a dishwasher get stopped up. But I do know inside the dishwasher, and the reason here's why I know this, because I'm one of those, even as when I was small, I was always adventurous, wondering what things look like that's probably not seen by most folks. I'm trying to, even though I probably am not an expert on how to fix things, but just so that I know what's there and how it works. And most dishwashers that I've stuck in my hand in, besides having all of your rights where you're going to put your dishes, like your glasses and cups on the top rack, maybe some saucers and bowls, and on the bottom take like your bigger plates. And then you have the little plastic compartments where you stick like your silverware and things like that. But underneath all of that, underneath those racks that you sometimes you pull out or don't pull out, and most dishwashers that I've seen, you have these two skinny rods. These skinny rods, and it depends on the size of your dishwasher, can be probably about 3 feet in length, maybe 4 feet. It all depends on how big your dishwasher is. I'm going to look at mine right now in case I might have overlooked something. Or like mine has, because I've lived in different apartments. The apartment I live in now do not have the two rods that I'm speaking of that I had in my memory. This one has a round little, a round rod, almost like, and basically that's your heating element. That thing gets extremely hot because your dishwasher is going to fill up with water at the bottom, and those two little rods are the thing that makes the water gets extremely hot for the same to does the thing to wash the dishes. Yes, I've made a mistake and have touched it by mistake, and I promise you, it was way less than a millisecond because I think it gets very hot. And I used to wonder when I first got exposed to dishwashers, I might have been about, let me see, maybe 11 years old, somewhere maybe 11, 12 years old. That was in the mid 70s. Yes, I'm telling my age. I used to wonder that if you open up that dishwasher, since it's filling up with water with dishes, it's going to be water coming out everywhere. But actually, you actually can open the door in case somebody didn't know. And no, water's not going to come out because the water's only at the bottom little barrel where the two rods or the round rod like I have here sits at. So you can, if needed, I don't know why they want to would. Once you start in the cycle, if you need to open it, maybe add something to it, you will do that, and water would not leak out. And the way most dishwashers, if they're made into like most apartments or even your house, it's going to be made into your counter, so it's connected to your water line that where your sink is at. So when it's filled with water, it may be separate from the actual faucet from your hot and cold tap. It may be an extra tap for the dishwasher, but when it empties out, it is going to empty it out into the same drainage where your sink is at. So you can actually, like mine, if my dishwasher empties out, when it's going through the different cycles, it's going to empty out where my garbage is supposed to, because I could stick my hand in there and feel the water that's coming rushing through as it's going through one of the cycles and it empties it out. But I've never had my dishwasher get clogged up. Again, I'm not going to wood again because I don't want to experience that since I have no idea what would happen if that does happen. Is it even possible for that to happen? Why would a dishwasher get clogged up? I have no idea unless a rag gets stuck in the line some kind of way. I'm not sure. But since we are in the kitchen and I'm going to move from that, I'm going to talk about the garbage disposal. Oh, one thing I want to let you know in this presentation is be prepared. Well, with anything, like when I do these presentations that I'm thankful for Michael and Sandia allow me to do this once a month, is I describe things because I am somebody, and I guess I should have said at the beginning, just in case there's somebody who's new who has never heard me before or have never said it on one of these presentations, or somebody who may be listening to it on future, recordings or YouTube. I tend to describe things with enough information that even if you are somebody who don't have any vision at all, you should be able to do it. And I do encourage people to even try to do it because it may come a time that you may need to do something and nobody is available around to do like little simple repairs or little simple things like that. And make sure that you are definitely capable of able performing these daunting tasks as anyone else. I know we're good to call a plumber or call a spouse or call a child or call a neighbor or somebody to take care of something when something goes wrong. But hopefully I will give enough description as well as folks who are going to be chiming in can give enough description that you can do it as well. And I preface by saying that because I'm about to talk about the garbage disposal. And the other thing too is be prepared, and it's okay to get your hands dirty. I know most of the people in the world, I think it's about half and half that we have, we have an even amount of sexes tuning into here. And some of us probably do not like to get our hands dirty because we just don't like to get our fingers dirty and greasy. But that's what we have soap for. There's all kind of cleaning supplies you can use. So be prepared when you're going to be dealing with some plumbing or dealing with pipes or unclogging stuff. Prepare to get your hands dirty, and you can always just wash them and scrub them later.
This is Terry.
Yes, Terry.
I think there's somebody that's unmuted that may not realize that he or she is unmuted, and it's so if you can mute yourself, it's *6.
Oh, thank you, Terry. Yeah, I'm busy rambling my mouth. I'm probably not even hearing it. Yes, if you are muted or need to unmute, if you're calling in, if you're dialing in, *6 does mute, and it also unmutes if you want to unmute yourself. If you're on your smart devices, there's a button for you to mute, and then there's if you're on a computer, the keystroke, I think it's Alt-A for if you're on a Windows, and it's Command something A if you're on a iOS device.
Command-Shift-A.
Command-Shift-A, thank you. I said something. Something is a shift. Thank you, Terry. be prepared to get your hands dirty. Now, when we're talking about the garbage disposal, as anyone who's going to use a garbage disposal, there are some things that you should not do if you're going to put something down to dispose. You don't want anything solid, such as bones or coins or silverware, anything solid that you're going to put down to disposal because that's going to disrupt the natural or the normal operation of this device. However, although we may not intentionally have something go down that area where your disposal is at, some things do tend to get in there. What if it could be a coin, like a penny, or a piece of a glass, or just something? And when that happens, not only could it could disrupt the natural operation of your disposal, but it also could stop it and keep it from turning. In your disposal, there is usually if you have a double sink, and the way you can tell if your kitchen has a disposal, this in the event that you even at someone else's house, and you may not know that they have it, or somebody may not even know that they have a disposal. Trust me, I've been in several many different houses, and some people did not know that they contain a garbage disposal in their kitchen. And even when I go house shopping or apartment shopping, this is the way I can tell what amenities this kitchen may have by looking in the drain of the sink. One side is going to have a deeper hole, and it's going to have like little rubber flat pieces, which will be the side that your disposal is at, and the other side is going to be like a regular drain. And in the part where the disposal, if you stick your hand in there, when the disposal is turned on, of course, you can feel probably a flat little surface and two little nodule things that spin very rapidly as this particular round thing turns. Those two little nodules, I don't know what the proper terminology for the things that I'm talking about are, but they're there and they spin and they help grind up or break up the waste that you may be putting down disposal. What if it's leftover, if you're eating something and you didn't finish it all, you can put that down on disposal instead of putting it in the trash can to stink up your trash. But again, no solid things like bones or pieces of things get in there. Now, if you happen to, something gets caught in there, and the way you can tell, as a matter of fact, I would make a suggestion that if you have a disposal, test it out. Listen to what it sounds like. I think I forgot to turn on my natural sound before I joined this Zoom, so you may or may not hear my background noise or not. I could be pulling out the silverware because I had my dish drain over the part where my disposal is at because I want to reach in here. Okay, mine is pretty clear. So I'm sticking my hand in here right now, and I'm feeling like this is a little rough surface that the wheel is going to turn, and they got two little things that I also spin to help ground up. Now, most of your garbage disposal are controlled by a switch on your back wall or your panel. It looks like a light switch, but it's actually for your disposal. Sometimes it may be two switches there, one for the light, one for the disposal. Or like on mine, I just have one switch next to two electrical outlets. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but that's my side. And it sounds very smooth. Well, at least that's the sound that I'm used to, that it's smooth to me. But if there was something stuck in there, I would hear like jamming it. It'd be make a loud cracking noise to let me know, okay, something must not be good. So then I will turn it off and I will reach my hand in there. And if there is like, let's say a penny or a piece of glass, using my fingers and my fingernails, I will pull that out. Now, if something is stuck in between the spinning of this round wheel, the flat surface that turns real fast, and the wall that it's turning around in, you may have to pry that out a little bit. And if your disposal is not turning, like you could turn it on, you make it hear that it's jammed, and it may not turn, you can actually push that. You can, use some strength, grab one of the little two things that I call nodules, and turn it a little bit, or grab a hold of it and kind of push it. Go either clockwise or counterclockwise. And that would help turn the disposal. So if anything is trapped, that will loosen it up and you can pull it out, and that will allow your disposal to function like it should.
This is Terry.
Go ahead, Terry.
So if you're going to do that, I don't, forgive me, I don't want to assume anything. You don't want to do that while the disposal is turned on. You want to, if you're going to put your hand in the disposal, you want to have it turned off. Am I correct in saying that?
You are correct. Definitely don't want to stick your hand in there when the disposal is turned on. Never,
and the
ever, ever. I don't know how many times I need to say ever. Never, ever. Not to quote the Taylor Swift song, never, ever getting back together again. Never, ever stick your hand in the disposal when it's turned on. Go ahead, Terry. I cut you off.
Oh, no, that's okay. I cut you off. If there's glass in there, you don't necessarily know what's stuck in there. And if it is something like a piece of glass, you could, if you just reach your bare hand in there, you could cut yourself trying to get to that piece of glass. So I don't know that I'd want to just put my hand in there, my bare hand in there.
It's a risk. You're right. And so if you do stick your hand in there, I would say feel very carefully. Don't go rough, because you don't want to get sort of like a paper cutter, get cut by this glass or whatever. So if your hand is small enough, because some of us may have bigger hands than others, but if your hand is small enough to get inside these little rubber flat pieces that I was talking about, so that you can determine which is the disposal and which is the drain, feel definitely carefully to see what's in there. Don't go rough, don't go too fast. And that's one safety technique I can suggest to you to keep you from, if it is glass in there, from you cutting yourself. So touch lightly. Now, some people may want to use gloves. You can do that too. I do not myself use gloves because I want to feel everything. And again, I do feel carefully though. I go real slow. So if like Tara's indicated, if there is glass, I'm not going to cut myself because I'm going slow enough to do that.
This is Lynn.
Yes, Lynn, go ahead.
I was wondering, can you go into any detail about how you get into there's a little tube in there? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not yet.
There's a little tiny little tube thing, and there's an entrance hole, and it's always dirty in there. Do you know what I'm talking about there?
You're talking about the area where the disposal is at?
Yes, it's inside. Okay, you stick your hand into the disposal, and it's along one of the walls. It's like a tube.
Right.
It's always dirty, and I always wondered, how could you clean that out?
This is Jody.
My silence is because I'm trying to think, because I know normally, and I'm sure there is a mega. I hear you, Jody, but what I'm saying is, usually I don't know how you'll properly clean. I'm sure there's somebody that a plumber probably know how to clean it out. Usually, on time I may clean up my disposal if it smells bad, depending on what I've put through there so many times, that I usually may just pour like some bleach or something like that to get rid of the smell. But as far as like scrubbing it to keep it from being so dirty, I am one of those who have never done it. And I'm sure there probably is a technique for doing that to make sure it's cleaned properly. Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't had a disposal in years, but when I did, I would run ice cubes through it, and the ice cubes would clean out a lot of the gunk. And you can also run orange peels or lemon peels through the garbage disposal, and that kind of freshens it up.
Lemon is a good
a
one
lot
because
too.
lemon has a nice smell, nice citrus smell too for cleaning things as well.
So the ice cubes, they work really great.
Okay. Who else was wanting to say something?
Dawn from Houston.
Go ahead, Don. Welcome.
Hi. She was talking about how to clean the garbage disposal. Usually, my mom, she uses a mixture of baking soda and vinegar and hot water and pour it down the garbage disposal to clean it.
Okay. Right.
And the tub drain and the kitchen and bathroom sinks.
Okay. Okay. But I think she was
Baking
talking
soda
about,
and vinegar, yeah, and hot water.
and that worked. That worked. But I think she's talking about because it is extremely dirty in your disposal. That she's talking about, is there a proper way of cleaning the whole little area, the whole little tube and the surface, all of that. And I'm sure it is a proper way of doing it. As a matter of fact, if a disposal becomes so malfunctioning, so operational that a part may need to be replaced, a plumber probably would clean all that out. They probably would oil it and, make sure it's running properly and smooth. And that's just what I'm imagining. That's probably what they would do. Maybe I should have invited a plumber on here.
This is Tulsa.
All right, I heard two of you. Y'all do it again so I can see who wins the race. Go ahead.
Go on, Jerry.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over anyone else.
No. It's okay.
No, I was just gonna say that I'm pretty. I don't like gritty stuff either. So usually, every time I use my dishwasher or my garbage disposal, I'll keep the hot water running, and it's usually right underneath the little rubber lip that kind of goes around on the top of the garbage disposal. I'll lift those up, and I just use my hand with that hot water, running over the garbage disposal. I just use my hands and just rub with my, fingers, and that really gets a lot of because it's usually, residue, and that residue will just kind of collect after a while. So I just use my hands and just kind of rub the inside of the wall of the garbage disposal, if you will. Sometimes I like squirt some, dishwashing liquid while that hot water is running while I'm using my hands to kind of rub around the sides of it. But I always go underneath that, like, rubber lip, if you will, usually every single time that I use it. But those were good about the lemon peel and like the eggshells. That helps keep those little sharpening things, sharper. And those other things are kind of extra. And the baking soda, all of those other stuff were really good too.
Okay, and if anybody wondering, that was me running water because I was washing my hands as I stuck my hand in my disposal. And I have a little case of OC that I like to keep my hands clean because I use my hands a lot, especially if I'm cooking and doing stuff. So since I stuck my hand in it, it was feeling dirty. And I was not able to mute myself because it's hard to mute yourself on the phone when you got wet fingers. So that's what that background noise was. Now, who was the other person that was wanting to speak besides Jerry?
Janice.
Go ahead, Janice.
I was going to say, regarding cleaning that tube that she was inquiring about, maybe a bottle brush would work for that. And lots of times they have wire handles, so they're bendable. But maybe a small or appropriate size bottle brush might work for cleaning out.
Thank you. I never thought of that.
That's a thought. I don't know how strong it would be, but I guess if you do it enough times, it will probably get all that out. But usually if I'm cleaning that, I'm basically because something, may tend to smell sour in there and I want to get it fresh again. And all these suggestions that you guys are coming up with to clean it out, especially to get rid of the sour smell, the spoiled smell, does work. Like the orange peelings or the lemon peels or hot water. And like Jody was saying, put some ice cubes down there too. That'll help break up stuff as well. But if something gets stuck, you actually can force that wheel to turn to help loosen up what may be trapped along the walls of your disposal as well. It will budge a little bit, may take a little muscle to put into it, but something to get the thing to move. And that little quick little thing would help you to, free up your disposal rather than you having to probably spend $45 for a service for a guy to come out and he probably does something in like 25 seconds and get it free. This is the one way that you actually can probably, if your disposal mechanism gets stuck, this is how you can probably free things up.
Michael?
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I stepped away. I just got back in hearing you guys talking about the garbage. So when you were talking just now about freeing up a stuck disposal, what was the remedy for that?
Oh, I was indicating that if like a coin, like a penny or something gets stuck in there and the disposal is not turning, it's preventing it from spinning like it should, you could reach in there to free it up. But if turning it doesn't free it up, you can actually stick your hand in there, grab one of the two things that spin real fast and kind of use a little muscle to force the disposal wheel to turn. That may help free up that penny or that silver dime that may be stuck in there that's prevented it from turning. That was the reason for that.
Yeah. Assuming you got a small enough hand to reach in there.
Exactly. That's what I mentioned too. If your hand is not too big, if your hand can fit in there, you definitely can do that. If your hand cannot fit, then you may have to go to the part of getting under the counter and taking it apart.
Yeah, well, there is another.
Hold on, let Michael finish. Go ahead.
A quick little fix. I remember I heard you at the early part saying keeping some tools, basic tools on hand. If you have a set of Allen wrenches, right at the bottom center of the disposal, I think it's a 1/4 inch, but I'm not for sure. But there's a little Allen screw, and you can take an Allen wrench and start spinning it, I think, clockwise. And then that will also turn the motor and free up things that, if it got stuck, either food or other little objects in there.
I'm looking at mine right now. Yeah, it's right in the middle of it.
That'll save you, another plumber.
Plum center, right there, exactly. Who else was calling for?
Pete.
Go ahead, Pete.
Have you heard of the old broomstick approach?
No.
A broomstick or a plunger, a wooden handle that you can stick down in there and kind of rotate those. Those technology with that mechanism clockwise. Use a broomstick down there, and of course it's off in the off position. But that way you can kind of get it going if it's really stuck. If you can't get it with your hand.
This is Amy.
Go ahead.
My garbage disposal, it has, I don't know, maybe because it's a newer, I do have that special, the L, it came with a special tool, and there is a button on the bottom. I just push it in, if it's not running, something's stuck, I just push it in and it will stop. It will work. That's what the plumber, sometimes when I call them, they tell me to get that tool, and there's a button on the bottom. You just,
under the machine itself?
And then the machine, yep. And then the whole big brown thing, I'm feeling it right now. Mine, it's nice. It would be stuck out, and you just push it in quickly, and it will, and then you come back and turn on the garbage, and it will make it run. That's when it's just jammed.
A reset button, I think, yeah.
That's right. And I wanted to mention earlier when you guys kept saying about make sure the garbage disposal turned off. I think what Terry meant, if it's when you try to turn it on and it's jammed and it's not making any sound, so you think it's already off, and then you put your hand to pull something and it's getting going. So that's, I think, what she meant. Make sure that because it's a quiet already, to make sure to turn it off because it wasn't running. Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Yeah. Be sure to know the position of your switch to know when is your switch is on, which is off. For example, my switch is in a down position. So that let me know that's in the off position and my disposal would not be on. But if it's in the up position, then even if it's not turning, if it's stuck, if it's not making that noise, I think you guys can hear that noise or not. That let me know that if I free it up, my hands in, that thing's going to start turning as soon as it gets free. So I want to make sure my switch. So if you are going to be adventurous and try to do your own repairs, like I'm encouraging you to do if you're bold enough to try it, make sure you know the position of the switch of your disposal that is in the off position. So that way, you know it's not going to come on even if you free it up from whatever may be jamming it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
and ice. I mean, I had asked the plumber before that ice does clean it, and the lemon juice, the lemon peel makes it fresh. So that is how when you said put ice and never put coffee ground. I'll get off now.
Okay, good advice.
Michael.
I'm exploring. Go ahead, Michael. I'm exploring my display because I'm looking for if I have a button.
Yeah,
I don't think I do. Go ahead.
One more little kind of just ongoing maintenance. If you throw eggshells in, and I know a lot of people just do that normally, if you get rid of your eggshells, but it'll help sharpen the blades. The eggshells.
There you go. Sort of your iron sharpen irons approach.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just like a little, wet rock you use to sharpen a knife.
I'm glad you guys mentioned it because I actually have never thought of that idea. I'm always careful when I'm cracking eggs to make sure they don't get to my eggs or whatever it is. But that's a good tool. Go ahead. I didn't hear your name.
Terry,
Go ahead, Terry.
There's somebody else too, maybe. But I wasn't saying that regarding. Yes, you're right. You want to make sure that your disposal is turned off. But I was making the point that even if it is turned off, if you want to reach your bare hand in there, and because you think there's a piece of glass or something, you don't know what's in there. I wouldn't myself. I personally wouldn't do that because it could be something that could cut you, even if you're very careful. And so I guess I just caution people about that. If you're going to do it, it's at your own risk.
It's a choice. It is a risk, and there could be some risk involved. But the only way I can say the way to stay safely is, most people who have vision, they're probably going to stick a flashlight or something looking there to be able to see it. But if we don't have that luxury of doing that, then just be very careful, move real slow so that you do not cut yourself. Especially if you're sticking in a surface like that. Was there someone else that was wanting to chime in?
I was Dawn from Houston.
Go ahead, Dawn.
I just want to say I've actually used a butter knife before to go around the wheel you was talking about to unloose whatever was stuck in between, and then I stuck my hand down there carefully and got the piece of glass.
And that is a good idea because a butter knife, especially if it's a flat one, will be flat enough to fit probably in between where the disposal is turning and the wall of the disposal. So if anything is clogged or stuck, then, it will probably free it up. And you may can even hear it if it does free something up. That way you can probably reach in there and carefully to pull out whatever is down there. Now, if you do hear something, yes, you definitely have to pull it out from the disposal. The disposal will not break it up enough that it's going to go down, wherever stuff goes down to. Something is that solid, it will need to come out. And again, take time. You guys can even do that, after this call, even right now. Turn on your disposal if it's clear so you can get accustomed to what your disposal sounds like. I remember we using our sense of hearing to know what should be sounding like it's supposed to sound and if something is weird. And if you hear a lot of, as soon as you turn on, you should be able to hear if something is probably stopping the smooth operation of your disposal. You will hear it cracking or spitting or sputtering or something like that, rather than the smooth humming of a disposal. So, any other comments before I move on from the disposal? And hearing crickets, I guess we are done. And if you guys think of something later, feel free to chime back in. Now, of course, I'm not going to go into the part about if you have to take your disposal apart, in case, it's beyond certain stuff, keeping the thing from turning, because I've never done that. Although I use my disposal, I never got to the part like I'm one of those that, yes, I do have Instagram, and it may be a couple of celebrities that I do follow. So when they go live, I get an alert that it says so and so is going live. And there's one particular comedian who did go live, and this person was trying to take apart their disposal on their own. They said they didn't really want to call a repair person. They kind of skeptical about people coming to their house. So I actually was impressed that although this was a very popular celebrity, that they were taking time to do the repairs themselves. And it was a lady who, she, got her tools and had like a manual of how she was going to take it apart so she can free up her disposal. I don't remember the outcome, whether she got it freed up or got it working, but I remember, usually on Instagram when you're going live, there's a part where you can put you can ask a question or you can make a comment and to, give suggestions or say hey to them. And I remember telling them that if you're not worrying about your nails or your manicure, just stick your hand in there and see what would be clogging it up. Instead of you taking time to using your wrenches and your pliers or whatever to take apart the whole mechanism, which is probably going to be changed and put back together unless you paid attention carefully. But I don't remember what the final outcome was, but I just thought it could have been a quick, easy fix than what she was trying to do. But anyway, I digress from that. Now, I'm going to move on to the other half of your kitchen sink. And let's say your sink is stopped up. Now, I've gotten familiar with this just from personal experience. I've even been in a hotel room where a sink got clogged up, and I was worried about them, that I've messed up something. And they had to come unclog the sink. It was in my mind that they're probably going to keep my deposit because they had even though they may have a maintenance person on staff to come fix simple stuff like that, but I just had them thinking that because I stopped this thing up real bad, that they gonna probably charge me something or do something that I don't get my security deposit back. So knowing the knowledge, because I've done some exploring of my pipes in my own place where I live, under your, two approaches you can do it, things you can do. You can have a plunger. I know we was naming tools, but we wouldn't call a plunger a tool that you have in a toolkit, but it's always something good to have as a part of a tool in your place in the event you may have to unstop your toilet or unstop your bathtub or the sink where we at right now. So if you find that the water in your sink is going down extremely slow or not going down at all, one approach you can use is get a plunger. And I'm going to assume we all know what a plunger is, but even if somebody does not know what a plunger is, it's basically a stick that might be like about 2 feet or 3 feet, depends on how big of a plunger you got. And it's a little rubber round disc type thing that when you press down on it, it folds in and it helps apply pressure to that water to kind of force that water to go down the drain like it should. If something is like stuck, to keep it from going into like your main trap into where water empties out, that's what this plunger is for. And so if your water is stopped, in your kitchen sink and is not going down, you can plunge it to get that water to go out slowly. Now, if plunging still doesn't work, and I'm going to tell you a little story about what happened to me. I was, it's kind of funny in a way because I blamed somebody else who was staying in the room with me, my daughter, for her stopping it up when really it was my fault. My daughter's one of those, she's a girly girl, so she used a lot of chemicals, for her hair and makeup and stuff like that, whatever girls do. And we was at a hotel in Florida. I think I was attending one of the advocacy conventions, whether it was ACB or NFB, I'm not sure, but I know we was in Florida. Was it in Orlando? I don't remember. I think it was. But anyway, doesn't matter. We was in this hotel, and I thought the sink got stopped up because she's one of those wasn't careful about, she probably pulled her chemicals and stuff got all gooey and it probably stopped up the sink. So I'm thinking this water was not going down at all. And I was getting worried. I'm thinking, oh man, she done stopped up the sink. Now she was asleep and, I was blaming her first. And I tried, um, no, I didn't try plunging it because I don't travel with a plunger. I just noticed water wasn't moving. So, from my own sink at my place, getting started before at previous places that I have stayed at, there's a thing called a U trap under your kitchen sink or under even your bathroom sink. And basically, it's the part that at the bottom is shaped like a U, where one end of it connects to the pipe that goes from under the sink and the other end is, it goes down and then it curves around and then it goes back up and that connects to the pipe that goes into the wall and down the drain into your main trap. Now, sometimes at the bottom of this U, things get stuck there. But the connector of each of these ends, the one that connects to the pipe under the sink and the one that connects to the pipe that goes into the main drain, the main wall, it's got a little ring that kind of holds it in place. Those two things are usually pretty tight because basically you don't want water to leak. And you probably, if it's really tight, if you got one of those copper pipes, oh man, I haven't seen those so long, so I don't know how to listen to those. So I'm going to just make the assumption that everybody's just plastic. Most pipes these days are kind of plastic. And so those little rings that I'm talking about to loosen up this U joint can probably, if you got some gloves, if you got enough strength, you may be able to loosen enough to remove it from each end of the pipe, or you may have to use some pliers or wrench, but don't squeeze too tightly because you don't want to strip it. Either way, you're just trying to loosen it up so that you can unscrew it from the threads. Have a bucket in place. Put a bucket or something that's going to catch this water because there's always water trapped in this U joint. So when you detach it, that water is going to come gushing out. So you don't want it to go all over your cabinet underneath because that's going to cause more damage. So have like a big pan or a bucket so when the water comes gushing out, once you have successfully removed your U joint from the two pipes, that it emptied out into this bucket. Now, I'm going back to my story for a moment. When this water in this hotel room was not coming out, since I had knowledge of how to disassemble the U-trap, when I took it out and watered it, I think I used one of the trash cans. The most hotel rooms give you two trash cans. One that's going to be in the bathroom and one that's going to be probably around your desk, or if your room is big enough that it has like a table or a dining area, so to speak, and there'll be a trash can there. So I used that trash can. I think I took the bag out and it was a metal trash can. I stuck it under the U joint. And when the water came out, what I noticed that was stopping the water from going all the way out was this big blob of grease. And that big blob of grease, it was like a ball. It was like a thick ball of grease that was stuck in his U-trap that kept the water from going out. And it wasn't my daughter's chemicals who stopped it up. It was me that we had cooked some stuff on the George Foreman grill. And so I emptied the grease into the sink instead of into the trash. So all that grease got all stopped up. And so it was my fault. Wow, the sink was clogged up. But I was able to found this big blob and it fell into the trash can, and then I was able to attach the U-trap back onto each end, the pipe that goes into the wall and a pipe that goes right under the sink. And I got it real tight enough using a tile so I can get a good grip and tightened it real good and ran the water and everything ran smoothly. So when the plunging didn't work, I was able to remove the U-trap to get whatever was clogging it up. And, sometimes it could be anything, even if you're at home, and they'll tell them what could be stuck in that U-trap. It could be a bunch of hair that may have clogged up. If you're in your bathroom and some people wash their hair in the bathroom sink, or some people wash their hair in the kitchen sink. Besides washing your hair in the shower. But this is one way, if things have kind of clogged up too much to keep your water from going out smoothly, that's one way you can get it out without having to spend a whole lot of money on a plumber. And, because all kind of things, if you have one, especially in the kitchen sink, anything could go down there to kind of clog that up. Or if you're in a hotel and if you want to go through that, you want to unclog that, you can do that as well.
This is Jody.
Go ahead, Jody.
Yeah, first of all, as far as plungers go, I would never use the same plunger in the toilet that I use in the sink.
Of course not.
I actually have a hand plunger, which is specifically for sinks. It doesn't have a long handle. It's actually only about 6 inches per foot. And it's got, a hand. It's just made to use with one hand. And that works great. The one thing that I've got that I absolutely love is called a sink snake. And say that one 3 times fast. And you can buy them I think I got a 3-pack for $4. I mean, they're really inexpensive. And it's a strip of plastic with a loop at the end, and the plastic has teeth along the length of it. So, you can slide it down into the drain of the sink, and even in the bathroom where you have the stopper, it will fit past the stopper. And you just kind of move it around down in the drain, and you can pull out the chunks of hair and other things that are stuck down in the drain. And it's amazing how much it will snag. But the teeth on the side of it will snag whatever's down your drain. You can pull it out without having to take it apart or anything like that. So it's really great. And, they're very inexpensive. You can throw them out when you're done, or you can clean them off and use them again. But they're really great.
Thanks for that tip. I actually have never heard of a sink snake. I heard of the snakes that plumbers use to plug like a big thing. Those things are like those $300 things with a big.
Oh yeah, they're very expensive. I bought mine on Amazon. I think I paid $4 or $5 for a pack of 3.
Mm-hmm. All right, it's on the shopping list, Jody. Thank you, because that's something good to have. Anybody else have heard of that before besides me? Am I the only one who was ignorant to it?
Yeah, this is Innie.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I use it all the time too. It's wonderful for hair, and it goes, even if whatever kind of sink you have in them, it goes around it on that side beside the needle nose. That one, it works wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that it's probably still in any hardware place like the wholesale stores that can probably find it. Yeah, I'm washing my hands a lot. I'm getting them dirty.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Home Depot's got them too.
The sink snake. Okay. Trust me, I will have one within the next few days because I never heard of it.
It's Joe. I have a question.
Go ahead.
My problem with the sink getting plugged up is sometimes it's been from a neighbor. So I was just wondering how you can tell whether it's your fault or whether someone else has been dumping their crap down their sink and it's getting into your pipes.
Well, I guess that depends on and I guess that can happen if you live in a duplex or an apartment. Yeah. And it depends on how they got the lines running. That if the neighbor has done something and you guys on the same line, you've done your part, but somebody else clogging it up, and then that's when it's the you have to go to your leasing office or landlord, whatever.
Do that anyway. I don't think I know what I'm doing.
That is an unfortunate, and it's not something that's not out of the ordinary. I've heard of that before, especially when it comes to when you live in places like that somebody else done something, then it stopped everything up. Depends on how they got the pipes, how they built the place.
No, I'm in an older building, so.
Yeah, and that's definitely possible, which means it also can affect, that you could be in a shower and somebody flushes next door. It's interfering with your water changing temperature while you're in the shower or something like that.
That actually hasn't happened.
Yeah. Somebody else was trying to say something, or I'm guessing that. I'm washing my hands again. But I don't have a remedy for that as to how you can tell whether it's your fault or their fault. It definitely is an unfortunate because, and like I say, it depends on the age of your building, how it was designed. Could cause that. Okay.
Sorry.
Somebody else wanted to say something? I thought I might have heard her.
No, I just said sorry.
Okay, that's okay. No, not a problem. Don't apologize. Now, when we're talking about if you have a leaky faucet, now that can, it depends on the design and what type of faucet you have. Some people have faucets to where, if you have like a knob that's shaped like a stop sign, I guess I can use as a good, it may not be, maybe 6 sides, maybe 8 sides, and it's shaped like a little ring in the middle of it that you can take like a butter knife or a flathead screwdriver and pop that little ring up, and inside there you may have a screw, which helps tighten up the flow of your tap. Sometimes that can get loose, although you may have turned your knob all the way to shut it off, but if it's still leaking out, that particular screw may need to be tightened up a little bit. That's for these type of knobs. And that's why I'm probably not going to talk about them because they got so many different ways faucets are designed that all I can tell you as to how mine are ones that I have been exposed to where how you can probably stop a leaky faucet. So it all is all going to take. What you're going to need to do is, first, if you want to do your own exploring and repairs, which again, if you are adventurous enough, I definitely will encourage you to try it. I think it's good for you to get to know everything, how everything is set up in your place. In the event that someone may not be around that can come quick enough to probably stop some annoying thing that's taking place with your plumbing, and that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on a plumber coming out. Because just to get somebody to come out, it's going to be what they call a service charge, just for them even showing up. Even though they may be there probably 2 minutes compared to 1 hour, it still is going to be that service charge. It's something quick. So this is a way by you exploring, getting some familiar with all your basic taps and pipes and stuff like that. This can help save you not only a lot of time, but also a lot of money. And you can probably fix something that don't require you having to call somebody. But they got so many different designs of faucets. Like the one I'm looking at right now, I have this one is like 2 little skinny things that I usually turn, and to turn the water on or turn it off. And as I'm looking underneath at the part of the handle that I'm used to turn the faucet, when I get down to the part where it's connected to the sink, there's a little round hole underneath that I probably could stick like a small screwdriver in there if I needed to loosen it or tighten it up. That's how I would do to probably stop this faucet from leaking. So not knowing, because not everybody's faucets are designed the same way and it makes so many different ones, it's kind of hard to probably have a long discussion on how to properly stop a leaky faucet that may have had some wear and tear that is not turning the tap off quite all the way. So be one of those things that you just have to feel around in there, braille it up, see how your thing is, and do some exploring. And if you really not into it, then yes, definitely before you mess it up, maybe have somebody that you can. Hopefully, is not leaking so much that it's causing your the amount of your water bill going high, because that also can increase. That also can affect if you're someone who pays for water. That if you have a leaking faucet, that can affect the what you would pay each month for your water bill as well. Unless you live in one of these places that water is included, then I guess it don't matter. It's going to be up to your leasing office to monitor. Hey, we're paying this particular unit's got a little bit more water, and they probably can have somebody to come out. And then if you're living in a building where they have a maintenance department, definitely call the office or fill out an incident report or maintenance report and let them know that you have a tap that is not shutting off all the way, which can happen because especially if your building is old. If your building is over 30 years old, there's a chance that it probably something is may have wear and tear so much that it may be time for them to either replace things or fix things or upgrade the supplies that are in there. Now, as we were talking about faucets, because I just looked at the faucets in my kitchen and the faucets at my bathroom sink are kind of the same. But the faucets in my bathtub is totally different. So since I'm at the bathtub right now, I'm going to move to the bathtub. Did anybody have any questions or comments, something to say regarding the hot and water tap in your kitchen or the bathroom sink?
This is Jody.
Go ahead, Jody.
I was going to say, both the bathroom and the kitchen usually have a little screen over the faucet that will catch sediment, or if you have hard water, it might accumulate there. And every once in a while, I'll remove, they screw off really easily, and I'll unscrew them, and then I'll clean them off. And, you might even have sand in there, the sediment from your pipes or your well, or whatever. And then you just, clean them off and then screw them back on again. And that really helps with the water flow coming out of your faucet.
Yep, it helps keep your water kind of clean too. And you're right. I'm looking at mine right now, and I knew that, but I just forgot to talk about that. And which is indicating, guys, that where your water is coming out at, you should have a round thing that's going around the part where the water comes out, but underneath there is a screen. And that screen is to catch any type of, like you indicated, rocks, cement, residue, whatever's coming through the line. That helps it that if you are using water, let's say if you're just washing dishes, or some people may drink tap water, whatever it is, it catches all of those things. And it also could interfere with the flow of your water. And usually you just take like some gloves or something and you can unscrew that because it's just connected by threads. And you can clear it out, take that screen out, empty it into your trash and put it back on there. And she's right. It's usually at your kitchen sink and at your bathroom sink.
It's Joe.
Go ahead.
My taps in both my baths, all my taps are those new ones with the handle, and you lift the handle up and you move it left and right.
You're right.
So.
Yeah, you have those kind too.
Yeah, so if the faucet leaks, there's no way to tighten it.
Exactly. Like I say, if you're looking around and you don't see any type of something you can stick like a screwdriver to loosen it or tighten it, then yeah, I will ask for maintenance. Whether if you live in a house or if you live in an apartment, let them deal with that because you don't want to cause any more damage than what it's already doing.
Yeah.
Or what is already have wear and tear. Well, this is for if you have like a separate line from your hot and your colds, what I was speaking of. But you're right, they do have those kind that you just is one handle that you move it to the left for the hot, you move it to the right for the cold, put in the middle for warm and things like that. That's going to take some different type of a way of fixing it. And I'm sure there's a way. I haven't had one in a place where I live, and I can't even remember the last time I had one like that. I am familiar with it because I've been in other houses that do have that.
And they're newer.
Correct. Now, I'm at the bathtub right now. Now, in my bathtub, it has those type of faucets I was talking about, where there's like a little round circle that covers the screw. That if I could pop it out, I'm feeling right now that if these faucets were leaking a little bit, where the water's not shutting all the way off, I will take a Phillips screwdriver and I can tighten it up, and that should help it shut the tap off to where it's not leaking so much. Mine seem to be doing pretty good right now. And it's good to make sure those are all cut off, because it could mess up the surface of your bathtub around that drainage part if you have water just constantly dripping right there. Especially if it's hot water. That could definitely, mess up, depends on the surface of your tub, the paint or whatever it is, whatever is the material is made out of, if you're constantly having water drip there. So that's something, if you have a tap in your bathtub or a shower, whatever, that's not cutting off all the way, have someone to look at that right away. Or it could take, like I say, the point of just taking a Phillips screwdriver or a flathead, depends on what's putting that together, pop that out and then put that ring back on time to cover it up, and that will help tighten that up. If your bathtub is clogged up. Now, bathtubs, one of those can, meaning that your water go out extremely slow. And what could be causing it to go out so slow is all kind of things can go in there. Primarily hair. We all shed, whether we like it or not. Not all cats and dogs and our pets shed. We shed too. Because we wash our hair in the shower, and hair is coming out. I apologize, ladies. Some of us shave our legs in the bathtub, so we got that hair. So hair goes down a bathtub drain a lot, and sometimes hair will may not go all the way down, and that can stop. That may interfere with the flow of your water in and out the bathtub. Now, depends on what kind of drain you got in your bathtub. You can have one of those stoppers to where it's controlled by a knob that lowers it and raises it, or you may have to unscrew the stopper, and you can either use a plunger to help pull up some of that hair. Because as you're plunging that water and you pull it up, it's sucking back up what may be trapping the water from going outflows. And usually the time it's going to be a bunch of hair. So you got to reach in and pull that hair out. And, of course, throw it in a trash bag or something like that to empty it out. And then some of it, if there's not a whole lot, it will just go down. Sometimes depends on if you got kids or grandkids, it could be a small toy that could probably get caught into your bathtub drain to keep the water from flowing out. Either way, you have to reach in your drain, and if you have one of those type of drains that if you lift it up and it's like a big hole, you can pull it out. Or if you have one of those drains that got like the 4 points that supposedly keep things from going down, like a solid toy or a small toy or maybe a Borette or something like that. Depends on how that drain is, that will keep that from going down the toilet. But for the most part, the things that I have seen clog up bathtubs a lot is hair. Yeah. And you can use a plunger. Again, you might want to have a separate plunger like Jody was talking about. You don't want to use the same plunger that you're going to use in your toilet that you're going to use in your bathtub or your sink. Or if you're going to use your plunger in your sink, then please clean that plunger out. Soak it in some Clorox or something like that. Especially if you have used that same plunger in the toilet. Because the water in the toilet is going to be a big difference from the water in your bathtub. And we agree on that. That can be kind of gross, but if so be if all you got is one or two, then again, make sure you clean that plunger. And you can do that with, like I mentioned, Clorox or something like that. Hang on here. Now, let's go to any questions about the bathtub before I move from it. Again, I'm not going to talk about showers because they got so many different types of showers that if your shower is leaking, you got some showers that the way you move your water from the tub to the shower, it's a knob you turn that switches it from tub to the shower head. Some people have a pull-up ring and it's in like the nozzle, not the nozzle, the tab where the water's coming in the bath. So you pull it up, that switches from the tub to the shower. But most showers don't really leak unless they may leak after you've taken it out where it's still dripping from there, but eventually that will stop. The toilet. Now, if your toilet happens to get stopped up from whatever is stopping it up, I'm not going to start naming stuff because I'll let your imagination just... Yeah, we'll keep it there. It's happened. Sometimes some things fall in the toilet by accident. A toy, a roller of some kind of hair piece or whatever. Anything can stop up. Well, not anything, but there's a wide variety of things that can stop up a toilet. Now, if your toilet gets stopped up, which means, and I'm talking about the part that you sit down on. When that water fills up. If it, here's another thing too. Remember when we were talking about the disposal, get used to the sound of high flowing, that it's flowing, is it spinning like it should? Listen to your toilet as well. Listen to how the water goes down. Listen to if you hear that pop, pop, pop. I don't know how to describe that noise. That's all that's understanding. Pop, pop, pop. Yeah, the gargle, whatever you want to call it. Listen for that noise to know that your toilet is going good. If you don't hear that gargle or that pop, pop, pop noise I'm talking about, then there may be something wrong with your toilet water rising too high. And if that happens, now the way I use a plunger, and if my toilet is not making a noise that I'm listening for it to make, let me know that whatever I'm flushing has gone all the way down. If I don't hear that particular noise that a toilet makes, then what I do is when I'm plunging, and as you know, if you got a plunger, you're gonna it's got a little rubber round thing at the end, and you got a little stick that's probably about, where's my plunger? Hang on here, so I can measure real quick. My plunger stick is about, is that a foot, 18 inches? Somewhere between a foot and a half to 2 inches, because they got different size plungers. But anyway, if something is not flowing right, I will flush it, but I will start plunging while it's flushing, not plunge. Well, again, it's one of those, because I've gotten used to the way I pay attention to those sounds. For if something is stopping it up and I want it to go down, I'm going to plunge while, as soon as I hit the flush, that's when I'm going to start trying to use the plunger to get whatever's stopping up to force it to go down the drain. And that usually helps me to, that's how I work with it, that I'm getting that thing plunged. Now, also, you can try if the water has gotten high and it's not going down, you can plunge carefully, not real fast, because and the reason why I'm saying carefully and going kind of slow, because I'm trying not to splash water on the floor. Although I would probably have like a dirty towel, maybe a couple of them to go like around the toilet, that if water does splash, it's going to catch it and it's going to help with the cleanup afterwards. So if the water, and I will take a plunger, and if you don't want to get your hands dirty, let's put it away. This is where you don't keep your hands dirty. You can take your plunger and you can go it down, and how far down you go to know if you're touching where the water is at. Like mine is going down pretty good, and it's not that much down because my toilet is not stopped up. But if my water was like near the rim, that it probably is going to overflow, then I probably would use the plunger a couple of times to kind of force it to go down without flushing. And you could hear it draining a bit, and it probably even would make that pop noise I was talking about before you even flush it. And that's a safe way knowing that whatever was clogging my toilet up is now going down. And then I will give it a test and flush it. And if it goes down smoothly, that I've successfully unstopped the toilet. Sorry, I happen to just flush because we're talking about toilet. That noise right there, I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. But that's the noise I'm talking about that I listen for to know that my toilet is flushing good. It's not stopped up. But if I don't hear that noise, then I'm scared. Like, oh, shoot, let me go get some towels because I don't want my toilet to get all wet up. But you can either, again, if you don't hear that noise, if your toilet has made it mean something has successfully gone down, then there's a chance you could, I would say take your plunger and go from the rim of your toilet. And if your water is right near the top, then yeah, you can put it like in the center. Definitely orientate, the circular of your toilet so you know that you're in the center over the drain part or the part where your water is going down, and start plunging there, a couple of times, and to kind of help force that water to go down. If it's not budging, then yeah, you probably will need to flush and start plunging while the water is going down, and it also is filling up from your tank in the back. If you have a toilet that has a tank, that also helps shove down whatever is clogging up your toilet. This is a way of doing it without you having to call a plumber. Now, if none of that works, then yeah, you probably can have to call maybe a contractor they probably going to have to pull up the toilet, which means they probably have to, depends on what kind of toilet you got, where they have to detach the whole bowl from it, and then that's something I'm not going to discuss it because I've never done it. And meaning that if you need to remove your toilet, the whole thing from the floor, most of your toilet, as I'm looking, you got like a big bolt on each side of the back part of the toilet that's got it bolted to the floor. And that can actually be loosened and can come off if you need to remove the entire toilet because something has really gotten stuck in there, like a baby bottle or some kind of if you got like a grandchild or a child back in the day, they may have adventures want to see if this thing will flush and it gets stuck down there and it never makes it down the main trap to go into wherever water goes into, your sewer or whatever. I think I lived in an apartment complex that my sisters, when we all were little, they used to have these little baby dolls where it was like a baby alive type thing where it's like it simulates a real baby. And I think one time they got flushed in there and it stopped at the toilet. They plunged and didn't even help. And so when a plumber came over, the maintenance guy that came over, I think my mother had described it to me that he took off the whole toilet and found that bottle in there and pulled it out. And the reason why you have to be careful with that because there is such thing as called a wax ring that helps keeps the toilet in place and it helps keeps the water from leaking out onto your floor. And those things are very small and very delicate. And if you're not careful with it or putting them back in place, that can also cause a lot of damage to your flooring. So if you're not experienced with doing that, I wouldn't suggest doing that because it's very important to have that wax ring back in place when you put the toilet back on there. Because even though you can put the toilet back on and tighten it up, if that wax ring is not back in the right spot, your toilet is going to leak, and that could cause a big mess, no matter what kind of flooring you have. Sometimes we may also run into a thing where, and that's the part I'm talking about as far as like unstopping a toilet. If you have one of those toilets that have a tank in the back, which most houses do. I think only in public places they don't have a tank. They just have like a pressure toilet that is just basically a pipe in the back. Um, but if you have a tank, the water in your tank, and some people thinking that's dirty water, but that's actually rather clean water back there. Now, I wouldn't say you're going to drink this water, but it's basically you can stick your hand in there and it's not, not going to be too much, not too dirty. It's clear water. Some people put like little things down there to give your water a certain color, like, what you call those things? What's the little round thing that turns the water blue? I can't think of the proper name. I'm at a loss for words. With some kind of way, some kind of cleaner to clean the toilet as well that you can stick in your tank, and it also helps to keep the water clear. Some kind of like little Lysol rings or whatever. I don't know what the round thing is. I can't think of right now.
This is Annie.
Go ahead.
Are you talking about the disc?
Yeah, I just don't know. I know there's a name for it, but I can't think of what that name is. But anyway, I just know it turns your water blue. But that's usually sitting in the bottom of your tank. Now, in some tanks, now your old toilet tanks have what they call a little round ball that helps keep the when the water in the tank reaches a certain level, it's going to turn off. It's like a little floater, or some have a thing called a floater that is connected to. I should have looked at what the proper these names called. Whatever the thing is, a little pole that's on the left side. Sometimes it's in the middle, and that helps the water to flow into your tank. And so if you need to flush, it's going to reach a certain level. And when it reaches a level, it turns the water off. It could be a floater or it could be a ball. That helps keeping the water in your tank from overflowing. Now, your flush handle has a minus plastic, but there's a chain that's on one end of this flush handle that's at one end, and it's connected to a little rubber thing that's covering the hole of the tank to keep the water in the tank. That's also the chain can be plastic or it can be whatever material that chain is. But this all that's connected together to the part that's covering the water from to keep the water inside the tank. So if that happens to sometimes, because some people sometimes when you flush your toilet, the chain gets jammed, and so you may find that water in your tank just kind of been running and running and running. And when that happens, that means your floater is staying upward, or it's not covering the hole enough that the water in your tank is going to constantly keep running. So you may have to shake your handle, or that would help when you get it back in place because it's designed in a way that's going to fall right back over that hole. Or you can reach in your tank and shove it down in there. But it should automatically, the way it's designed, that when you flush your toilet, it's going to cover that hole is usually in the middle of your tank, next to the left of that hole that I'm speaking of, that your floater is connected to. And it's got like a little skinny pipe that goes into like a little round hole that when you flush the toilet, the water is running into that, and that's help filling up the tank. And when it reaches a certain level, when it reaches that part that it has enough water in it that should also flush your toilet, that would these parts are replaceable. There used to be a time, I think, back in the day that you had to buy like a whole kit, but now these days you can buy a flush handle, you can buy the chain, you can buy the little rubber floater that covers the hole that filters the water in the tank, and you can even buy the little pole mechanism that's connected to the tank, to this pipe, to where the water is coming from. All that can be sold separately. And I've learned this from experience that, I've gone to Home Depot Maybe only one thing is not working, but this whole mechanism of the toilet filling up will, you can easily make these little simple repairs. Sometimes the chain gets worn out and it comes off the little flex handle, and you can either reach in there, pull it up, squeeze it back. They got like a little hole at the end that a little small little hook goes through one end that's connected the chain to your flush handle down to the little rubber thing that covers the hole that the water empties out of. And the hole that I'm talking about is when you flush your toilet, as water is going out of your toilet bowl, water is also coming into the toilet bowl from the water that's in the tank. So that's one thing. Like when I'm cleaning my toilet, and I can talk about that a little bit too. I think we got a little time. I usually when I clean my toilet, I use a combination of some Fabuloso and maybe some Clorox bleach. I use maybe like a cap full of each. Some people just use Fabuloso because they don't like the smell of bleach. Some people use, whatever you use to clean your toilet with. So I'll take like a cap full of the Fabuloso, pour it into the tank, and I'll take a cap full of the Clorox bleach, pour that in the tank. So, and then I also take and do the same thing when I'm pouring into my toilet bowl. I will take and unscrew the Fabuloso tap, put it in the water in the toilet bowl as well as in the bleach, and I'll take my toilet brush and squish it around till I'm covering all surfaces, everything that's around where the water is at, where the water goes out at, that little ring part, and even along all of the sides, even on the inner ring of it. Because this is why I say, your hands are going to get dirty when you're dealing with plumbing. Even when it comes to cleaning your toilet, some people use gloves if they don't want their water touching, that toilet bowl water because of what goes in there from you or from your company. And you're worrying about your hands clean. I hear you, Terry. You can use toilet to make sure, you can use gloves to make sure you get everything just to be sure. But you can use the toilet brush and just really scrub it good. And the reason why I have pour some of my Fabuloso and Clorox bleach into the tank, because when I flush, whatever I have scrubbed out from the sides of the toilet, the walls, and around there, it's going to go down, and fresh water's coming in, and it helps give your toilet a nice smell as well. Go ahead, Terry.
Couple things. Number one, depending upon what chemicals, and that's what you're using in your to clean your toilet. Right. Some of them suggest that you not put those chemicals in direct contact with your hands. So you might want to use just a brush, or if you need to put your hand in there for some reason, you want to wear gloves. The Absolutely. Other thing is, if you're going to use bleach, again, there are certain chemicals in the other parts, in the other items that you are using that say do not use with bleach. I can tell you of an instance where my mother, they were cleaning something in the basement, a pipe in the basement, and they used bleach, and I don't remember what the other was. Anyway, my mother ended up in the hospital because her lungs were burned because of the reaction of the bleach and whatever the other chemical was.
Ammonia.
Yeah, ammonia, I think it was. Yes. But sometimes there are other things that they tell you, do not use this with do not mix this with bleach. So you got to know what you're doing and be aware of what you're dealing with.
You got to know your tolerance level too. You're right. No, usually when I'm using bleach, I don't use my bare hands because bleach, Clorox, that stuff can be kind of strong, especially if you're mixing chemicals like Terry just mentioned, like what I did. Like when I'm cleaning my toilet, and I indicated that I'm using a combination of a little bleach. I use very little because bleach can be very strong. And I use Fabuloso because Fabuloso is a nice pleasant smell. and it won't be so smothered. Now, there are some people who can't use bleach at all because it bothers their lungs. They can't inhale that too much. But when I mix it up too, and if I'm cleaning the toilet, I'm using a brush, a toilet brush, and if I do happen to really use my hand, yeah, I'm putting on some gloves. But I put a little bit in the tank. I'm not touching it because, like, when I flush, I want that clean smell. I like the idea when I can go into a bathroom and I can smell that it smells like it's being cleaned. So I do that for the aroma as well. But no, I never touch it too much because it can mess up your skin, especially if it's highly concentrated. So I will encourage, yeah, use a brush and use it good. And, you'll be able to tell. And if you need to use like an eye check to make sure that you have cleaned it well, you got, your services that you can call upon, like your Be My Eyes or your IRA, if you have that, and get that agent to look at it. Or if you got someone who has good working vision in your house, they will let you know if your toilet is clean or not. And they will let you know, depends on the person, if your toilet is not clean. My mother, when she was here, she will definitely will let me know, or say you need to call somebody to clean his toilet, whatever, if I hadn't done it in a while, because my toilet probably gets cleaned probably, I don't know. I am a man. I do live alone, and it's just me here, so it's probably once a week or something like that. Or if it gets to a point, if it has not that fresh smell that I like to have, then I know it's time for me to clean my toilet. If I haven't had like a housekeeper to come by to, do like the real spot cleaning for me. I do have somebody. I've gotten to the point, I used to do it all myself. Now I don't know if it's, age thing, because I gotten to the point that, well, two things. One, because I have a bigger place now than I used to have before I moved. I moved to a new apartment about a year ago. This one is a little bit bigger. So and then of course it's not carpet everywhere. Like, I think carpet is only in my bedroom. So when it comes to cleaning, it's a lot more work. Sometimes I'm tired because of my daily routines there. So yeah, I have gotten to the point where, because I do care about how clean my place is, I will hire somebody to come, maybe either if it's twice a week, or depends on how big it is, or once a month, who is visual, who probably can get some areas that I probably have not gotten. And especially when it comes to the bathroom, I definitely want that clean. But when it comes to cleaning the toilet, since I know how to do that, I do that at least once a week because I just love that fresh smell of a clean toilet. I don't want my bathroom smelling like a football stadium, if you guys know what I mean. Don't like that smell at all. I don't even like when I go into some houses and they got that smell, but I don't say anything. That's just me. I'm going to stick around that. Anybody got any other comments or questions or thoughts about this presentation? I don't think I have discovered. Anybody want to add anything? Or those of you who do your own cleaning, what do you use? I know I said I use bleach and Fabuloso. Sometimes I may just use Fabuloso. What do you guys use? Go ahead, Bridget.
Oh, I'm back on you. George, the toilets, the new, well, they're not quite new, but the ones that have the button on the back that you flush it from the back.
Uh-huh. You mean like the two buttons you press in the middle?
Yeah, in the middle, on the top, in the middle. I used to could go like you flush the little handle and it just flips, so you kind of know that change probably is often you just open the lid and go in there and put it on. But I was over a friend's house and they did that, so I called myself gonna lift it. And I'm blind now at this point, and I was feeling, but it felt different, so I immediately put the top back on because I didn't want to mess up anything. So is it a lot, is it really different under there?
Bridget, I'm glad you mentioned that because you're right. I got a couple of friends whose house I go by, and they have a toilet just like that where instead of having like a little flush handle, they got the two buttons that you press down in the center of the toilet. I mean, the center of the top. And since it wasn't my house, I haven't looked to see how it looks. I haven't explored to see what those tanks are made like to be able to really articulate how the design of those, the design of how those flush handles are. Anybody else done any exploring and look who know what we're talking about? Those toilets
Terry.
that you press the two buttons. Go ahead, Terry.
I can't specifically answer that one, but I have a power flusher toilet, and I didn't realize that's what the plumber who was recommending a different toilet for me was going to get me, or I wouldn't have bought it. But you cannot put things in the tank of those because they have other mechanisms in there, so you have to call I would call a plumber if I had an issue with the power flusher, and I would do the same thing with the toilets that have the two buttons because I believe I've read somewhere that you cannot you can't just put cleaning stuff, and you can't just take that toilet apart easily to get in there and do whatever needs to be done. I think there's a caution there as well. And they also have these toilets that really don't have a toilet tank, but and I forget what they're called, but the part that handles the water and moves the water from what would be the toilet tank to the bowl is kind of like behind the wall of your bathroom. It's kind of hidden away, so you don't see it. That's a whole nother ball game that you can't really manage yourself, probably.
Exactly. And see, since I have never stayed in those, I can't share any stories on that. I only go by, the tanks. And again, I can't even share the stories on like the two buttons we were talking about in the middle because I've never had it in a place that I reside in. Mm-hmm. But I have visited a lot of homes that do have it. Like I got some good friends of mine, they have it right now. And they out of town. They want me to go over and check on their house, kind of like house sitting. So I may be a little adventurous if I got time to look. But I'm not going to mess up anything but I'm just curious.
Because I have a handle. I do have a handle on my toilet, and you might or might not know the toilet tank doesn't look any different because you can take the cover off, but once you take the cover off, you put your hand in there and there's some big like box thing that's in there that's part of the power flusher mechanism. And I was told, no, don't ever put any chemicals in there. Don't ever put any of those discs in there. Just you don't. If I need to have anything done with that part of my toilet, you call a plumber or a handyman, a certified handyman who knows how to deal with that stuff, because it's a whole different ball game, even though it's got a toilet tank and a handle, just like you're used to.
Right. Okay. Anybody else?
This is Janice. I have a question.
Yes, Janice.
So this is for commercial toilets when you're out in public. So, some of them have the lever, the horizontal lever on the side, and, that you push down. Either I do it with my foot, I don't touch it. But then a lot of them now are sensors, that automatically, flush, once you start to leave the stall or whatever. But sometimes the sensors don't activate. And then they do have buttons that you can push to manually engage the commode to flush. But some of them don't. And I'm like feeling around on the back wall trying to find a button or a sensor or something. Does anybody else have that issue? It's like you want this thing to flush before you leave the stall.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know what you're speaking of, and you're right. And they're trying to sort of be like hands-free and some stuff like that, where you will
Right.
have those toilets. You're right that as soon as you get up, it's going to flush automatically. And then you got the kind that if it doesn't work, yeah, there's usually like a little round silver button on the side of like the
Yes.
pole.
Uh-huh.
That I guess you could press that and that will manually flush it if it doesn't, if the sensor doesn't work. And then you got, it's like a little plate, kind of like the size of like a light switch, where they got like a little small button that you press in. And if the sensor doesn't work, that also helps flush it. It's one of those things that, yeah, we're gonna have to be feeling around looking for it if the
Yeah,
thing
like
don't
feeling
flush.
on the back wall and
And
feeling on that
and then if we can't
that
locate it, I guess
pole.
we just like, oh well, hopefully this thing will flush when I get out of here. And sometimes, I've been in places that usually when I've left the stall, it'll go ahead and flush. And then otherwise,
Now,
I say, man, I hope nobody didn't see me good. And then I go wash my hand out and get up out of there, so they don't think I was the one who left it in there. I say, look, I try to get this thing to flush, but I don't see how you flush it.
This is Annie.
Some of them will flush. You got to lift the seat up too, that'll make it flush. Go ahead, Annie.
I was gonna say you said it right. Sometimes when you open the door with the light, whatever, it will flush. But what I had done before I opened the door, um, if it doesn't want to flush after put my clothes on, whatever, I pretend like I'm sitting on the toilet and keep getting up and dance and everything I can to
waving
get it.
arms around, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
And wave at it. Hey, I'm done. Can you go ahead and flush already?
Yeah,
Done.
Joe.
So, and yeah, do all of that. Like she said, sit down, get up, get your clothes on, just sit down, get up, and hopefully that's going to trigger something. All right, I guess it's done. Lift the seat up, whatever, so we can get this thing to flush.
Joe,
Go ahead.
there's one place I go to, and it was kind of disconcerting because it wouldn't flush. But once I opened the door and stepped outside, then it did. So some of them are.
Yeah, some of them
It's
are
like
very
they're
delayed.
not consistent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing
they're
we
not
can do about that.
consistent.
If you walk outside and it doesn't flush, then you know there's a problem.
Mm-hmm. So it's not just in the ladies' room; it happens in the men's room too.
Uh-huh.
Any other thoughts or questions? We're at the end. It's 8:55 Central Time. Okay, again, I thank you guys for joining us this week. Michael, we can flush this topic away. We've done well. Mike and I have been discussing, I think because next month, November, is the fourth Thursday, that's Thanksgiving. We're sure a lot of you probably are not going to be here because you're going to be eating turkey, flushing down your turkey and dressing, whatever. Oh, man, that was terrible.
Oh boy, I'm not even going there.
Yeah, that was terrible. It just came out. There's no way to even fix it. And it's and the same thing's going to happen with the month of December too. I think the fourth Thursday is either going to be right after Christmas, so you're going to be busy again. I'm returning gifts, opening gifts, flushing things away. Why I keep saying flush? I need to start thinking away.
You must like that topic,
So
George.
our next iBus like may happen sometime in December. I think it may be like on a Wednesday. Look for the announcement. We're probably going to talk decorations or something like that. We'll come with something, for the season. So we will not be here next fourth Thursday because that's we want you guys to enjoy yourself, watch some football, eat some good food, and do whatever and all that stuff.
So this is Terry.
Yes.
Where you're saying you're going to skip November altogether, and for
Correct.
the December meeting, we'll make adjustments according to whatever else is on the schedule. And
yeah,
so
Michael will send out an announcement what we're going to do and when it's going to take place for It's iBUG's Life. Mm-hmm. But thank you guys for being here. I hope the information that I shared has helped. And we'll see you guys next time. Look for the announcement. You can check for replays. Always visit ibugtoday.com or .org. And also available on YouTube.
Thank you very much, George. Thank you, George.
I have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.